It is officially time for our weekly, semi-weekly, monthly even, check-in on Elias Pettersson. Because we have ourselves a new piece posted onto CanucksArmy.com by Stephen Roger that dives into which NHL teams are most likely to be interested in an Elias Pettersson trade this summer. Now, this is not new. Technically, the article is pretty new. It's from 4 days ago. But the idea of an Elias Pettersson trade has been in the forefront, if not the spotlight, of Vancouver Canucks conversation throughout the course of the past, let's say, year or so. And with the recent developments of Vancouver, where you're taking a look at all these trades, Connor Garland shipped out, Tyler Myers shipped out, Kiefer Sherwood, Quinn Hughes, all removed off of the team. It's clear the Vancouver Canucks are ready to go down some sort of a rebuilding path. The question is, how far are they willing to go? Do they want to hold on to valuable trade pieces like Filip Hronek for the justified reason of keeping leadership on the core? Are they willing to retain salary on a guy like Elias Pettersson, whose contract goes on till 2032? He's making $11.6 million a year. Will the Vancouver Canucks have the wherewithal, and will there be a team that bites to make this trade? Let's dive into each of the teams that Roger proposes could be suitors for Elias Pettersson. The article will be linked in the description if you want to go out there and read yourself. There are some positive factors worth discussing for Elias Pettersson. Say what you will about his performance what the fuck is that? Say what you will about his overall performance throughout the course of his career, but it is also true that Pettersson is playing the best hockey that he has in 2.5 years right now. It's also true that he has managed at least a minuscule comeback of sorts amid an absolutely disastrous Canucks season, in which the team has really collapsed around itself. Pettersson also remains a center, and that is a position of great scarcity in the NHL, especially when we talk about the centers available for trade. We can't say that there will be an extensive, robust, or even an incredibly enthusiastic market for Pettersson services this summer, but there should still be enough of a market to have several teams kick the tires, and maybe even enough for a handful of them to make what the Canucks consider to be legitimate offers. Here are the teams most likely to get involved in said tire kicking. Number 1, it's the Carolina Hurricanes. Number 2, the Detroit Red Wings. Number 3, the LA Kings. Number 4, the New York Islanders. Number 5, the Philadelphia Flyers. Number 6, the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that is all she wrote, or I'm assuming Steven is a male, so that's all he wrote. Excuse me. Philadelphia, eh? That's definitely a pretty interesting idea there, too. But let's go over each of these ideas, just kind of gloss over the main thesis of the thought. This is the alphabetical place to start, but it's also the logical one. Carolina. We know for a near fact that the Hurricanes have been in pursuit of Pettersson before. Word is that a Pettersson for Nate swap occurred nearly a couple of seasons ago, and there have been inconsistent rumors ever since of Carolina's sustained interest. The Canes look just as needy at center as they were before. Sebastian Aho is a star, but Stankoven might be a better fit as a top 6 wing in the long term than as a true 2C. Getting Pettersson in there would make for an incredibly strong sextet up top, with all of Aho, Stankoven, Jarvis, Svechnikov, and Jackson Blake there to surround and support Pettersson. Man, I did not ever think I would see this word pop up in a hockey article. Pettersson would aim to take a little offensive pressure off of Aho from above and a little defensive pressure off the aging Jordan Staal from below. The fit is there. Carolina also has a lot of cap space, so it would probably make sense there too. Not to mention the fact that the Canes always seem to have a lot of prospects at their disposal. There could be a really interesting fit there if Vancouver decides to take their pick at which or however many young guys the Hurricanes have. Next up, the Detroit Red Wings. We started hearing rumors about the Red Wings and Pettersson around the trade deadline, but most of them suggested that an off-season trade was more likely. But how likely? The article says the Red Wings rebuild has enjoyed some success this year, but is also displaying a bit of uneven kilter. The Wings are, appropriately enough, well stocked on the wings. They've got an excellent blue line developing, and they've got multiple future and current options in the crease. Their big gap seems to be down the middle, where they've got Larkin in place, but not much after him. Neither of Kasper nor Danielson have grown into that 2C role yet, and there's a bit of difficulty in trying to bridge the gap between Larkin's remaining prime and them coming into their own. Enter Pettersson. This is the main idea, I would say, that piques my interest, of course, as a dual Canucks and a Red Wings fan. The article also talks about how there's a pretty good tradition of Swedish excellence in Detroit as well as in Vancouver. Seider, Raymond, Larkin, DeBrincat, and Pettersson could be pretty good together. Who knows if Stevie Y would chalk up the assets to actually make it work, but we shall see. Next up, the LA Kings. There was buzz about the Kings and Pettersson, partially because of Anze Kopitar's inevitable departure. The idea of the Kings going after Panarin and actually making that happen was a pretty gnarly thought. But now Elias Pettersson could be the other last name that starts with P heading over to LA. Sliding Pettersson's into Kopitar's vacancy would at the very least prevent Quinton Byfield from having to step up into dedicated 1C duties right away, a responsibility he is plainly not ready for. One might argue that Pettersson isn't really good at that either, but then maybe the two would form a platoon of sorts, sort of like a 1A, 1B goalie situation. The Kings are going into next year with almost $20 million in cap space available, even after the Panarin extension. They can afford Pettersson, and they pretty much have to spend at least some of that money on a center, or else they're going to go into next season with a single top 6 center on their roster. That's not workable for a team that clearly has postseason aspirations. Now, the next ones, I think, have a little bit more flavor to them, because the New York Islanders reuniting Pettersson and Bo Horvat would be so great. Pettersson thrived under Bo Horvat's leadership and captaincy tenure. I love that idea. Just seeing what Elias Pettersson could do with fellow Swedes like Simon Holmstrom, for example, that'd be a pretty good fit. Add on Emil Heineman, Matthew Barzal, and then all the guys on D that are making impacts as well. Big shout out over to you, Matthew Schaefer. Pettersson and Schaefer working their magic together actually seems like a really good idea. Giving him more options up front is a pretty big goal for the Islanders. Speaking of Schaefer, his unexpected arrival via draft lottery last year has really propelled the Islanders group forward. Their time to compete is a lot more present day than many thought it would be all of a sudden, and doing something with the opportunity will require some risks. Taking on Pettersson might be just one such risk. And then finally, there's a conversation on the Philadelphia Flyers. You could have Rick Tocchet and Pettersson together. Hell no, that's not going to work, bro. Absolutely not going to work. Tocchet has already ruined Matvei Mishkov. He ruined Pettersson last year. You're going to have double trouble, double duty, double removals, and double ruinings going on if Tocchet sticks around and these two European dudes are still over there. No thanks. So finally, you have the Pittsburgh Penguins. This one shouldn't make much sense, and yet it does, at least a little. The article says the Penguins are plainly trying to get the most out of Crosby's last seasons, while also attempting to lay down some foundation for what comes after. It's not easy work, but Dubas has done an admirable job of adding a next generation of Penguins to learn from Crosby and co. Like Ben Kindel, Chinakhov, and McGroarty. It's enough to say that the Penguins won't be starting from scratch post-Crosby. Pettersson represents a fairly unique opportunity. In the present day, he comes in and helps the Pens be as competitive as possible. And maybe that's quite competitive, because if we were to pick out a leader capable of sparking a real comeback in Pettersson, who better than Crosby, one of the greatest leaders the sport has ever seen? Look at the impact he has had on Erik Karlsson for some evidence of this possibility. Then, after Crosby retires, Pettersson could represent a bridge piece between the old and the new generations, so as not to slip entirely back into obscurity. The continued ties between the Pens and the Canucks front offices make this all the more intriguing. Now, I do wonder, what do the Penguins give up? Like, you probably have to toss in Ben Kindel. He's been doing really well, but hey, do you go Kindel and Chinakhov and then a pick or something? I'd actually like that a decent amount, but you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, if that actually makes sense. If you're a fan of any of these teams, the Flyers, the Red Wings, the Hurricanes, the Kings, the Islanders, and the Penguins, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the idea of an Elias Pettersson trade? What do you think you would be willing to give up if you were the GM of your teams? And where do you think Pettersson is going to get traded to, assuming he gets traded at all? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Scroll 9, and bye.